Solid.
Can we actually just hang out?
All the time.
Okay.
All right, you ready to jump in?
I am, I think. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to talk about you as a winemaker.
Okay.
25 years you've been famous in the world, and yet a lot of people don't know still. 12 years you've been making wine?
Yeah. Well, yeah. 2014 was my first vintage.
Okay, 10 years, yeah.
So 10 years.
Yeah,
And sort of playing around with carboys in a closet before that.
Yeah. So what is your origin fall into love wine story? And then how does that segue into, I want to buy a winery, I'm going to make wine, I'm going to raise my family.
I mean, isn't it everyone's dream?
Give this to
I feel like
no.
it's well, unless you know about it.
It's hard work.
If you see a movie, it's everyone's dream.
That's
if you
true.
visit wine country, it's idyllic. But I wanted to tell you it was Manischewitz at Hanukkah dinner, but that's not the truth. I used to think wine was a punishment at holiday dinners because it was so bad. So I have this sort of boys club around me, and I was broke for a really long time. I sold 16 million records, and I was basically homeless and just didn't have any money. I got screwed over in every way that you could possibly just get screwed over as a young artist. And but then I found this really incredible group of men, and I had been managing myself because I was just so tired of being tricked. But I met Roger Davies and Craig Logan, and through them I met my agent and my promoter and all of these different people. And they loved good wine, and they had a budget. And I had never been around people that had a budget like that. And we would go to these restaurants and travel the world. And when you're traveling like I travel, you think, oh, she gets to see the world. Sure, on a rare day off, we'll go out into whatever city we're in, but most of the time I can only tell you, how was Budapest? Budapest, it was the steam room in the hotel gym was broken, and the venue looked just like the one in Bucharest. You don't get to see a lot. So on our days off, and you're inside a lot too. So on our days off, we just started going to wineries and getting out in the country and putting our feet in the soil and drinking wine. And for me, it was Chateau Beaucastel was my first kind of real
Wine
stops a conversation kind of wine where you're like, wait a minute, what's this? This is what I know. And I just kind of became obsessed because I have been doing this first thing forever. Probably for lifetimes, and certainly professionally since I was 16 years old. And so now I'm in my 20s, and I signed up to WeSet, and that was my first course I took because, it's like, good night, Sydney. And then I would open up my computer, and I would have my glasses set up, and I would do my test and my tasting. And I am a high school dropout, too, so I was never really interested. I think education is wasted on the young. I think that we need to find pieces of ourselves before we can learn, know what we want to dig in and learn about. And for me, it was talking to wine growers, talking to farmers. Music is a really solitary sport. I'm a pop singer, so I'm not in a band, and I travel alone, before kids, and I'm in the studio with one other person, and I don't kind of go to parties. I don't hang out with other celebrities. It's never been my thing. So when you meet people in wine and you see, anybody, any master, right? Anybody that's really passionate about what they do and their eyes light up. I could talk to people like that forever. And I was just finding all these different wine regions. And it started with Peter Gago at Penfolds. And he spent so much time with me. And we went down in the cellar, and he told me the story of the secret Grange and how it unfolded. It's just the storytelling, too, because I'm a storyteller. And there's so many stories in wine. And I think that's the really interesting, fascinating part. I am a long-winded person, too. You're going to have to shut me down at some point. But I just became fascinated. And then I got to meet Charlie Foucault before he passed away. And I spent a bunch of time with him at Clos Regard and his family. And that's one of my North Star wines. And
I have a bottle. I should have brought it.
I was told before we walked in, you'll either be here 15 minutes or you'll be here all day. And I was like, what? I have so many questions about Cab Franc. What do you mean? And I was like, how do I make you like me in 15 minutes? Spoke no English. We went straight down to a cellar, which is, it's like you go through meat, you know, the meat locker, like heavy plastic curtains, nothing fancy. The vineyard wasn't fancy, although he said you need to take your shoes off in French with a translator. 2 hours in, we're in the caves. We're talking about like 9th generation farming and gorge marks on the walls of the caves from disgorging champagne like before his family was even there. And as Americans, you don't get that history either. So it's just, and it's moldy and it's damp and it's so freaking cool. And then finally I was like, I have more questions. This is going well. We've been here 2 hours. I'm doing really well. I must have said something right. And then I finally asked the right question. And then he just broke out in fluent English. And I was like,
get out.
You fucker. This whole time.
He was testing you.
Oh, this whole time. And then I was like, so you get once to use Cheval Blanc barrels every year. Just, this is what you use. He's like, yeah. I go, can I get those? He goes, no. I was like, great, let's eat. Gotta ask.
Oh,
it's just been a series of things.
Yeah.
And I think the schooling surprised me because I really loved it. I love being a student. And I think that the coolest thing about wine is it makes you pay attention to other areas of your life, and it makes you much more present and much more sensory motivated. Like one of my first assignments was go to a farmer's market and buy all of, or buy, I bought all of the things you can afford or smell everything. Mm-hmm. I got every kind of tomato and every kind of mushroom and limes and lemons, and I thought to myself, I'm a word person. Why can I not tell you the difference between a lime and a lemon? Why have I never done a tomato tasting? I love pasta and food. Why did I not know that cherry tomatoes are useless and it should always just be grape tomatoes? And opinion, I guess, but it feels like a fact. And like I don't necessarily want to lick a rock, but I'm glad I did. And I love the smell of freshly opened tennis balls. That's cool.
That's what the W set does
I just
too.
realized that it makes you slow down and pay attention and stop just skating over life. And it's been a real rabbit hole for me.
But so how did that get to, I want to start my own label, Two Wolves Wine. I want to create a legacy to hand to my children, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. How did that?
Because
I had your journey, but I just write. Yeah. I don't, how did you get from?
My husband and I ride motorcycles, and we would go up to Santa Ynez and Los Olivos and wine taste. And this was 20 years ago. And it was one street. And everyone at this beginning of the street would think I was like really kind of shy and classy. And then everybody at this end of the street would be like, here's the party! I was hammered by the time I got there. But we would go to wineries, and I'm like, man, what if one day, because he's a dirt bike guy from Vegas. Like, he can be anywhere as long as there's dirt. And we were talking about it, and then about 15 years ago, we were actually in escrow in Healdsburg. And I love that little square there, and it's, quaint, but it's I love Napa and Sonoma and everything it represents. There's some fantastic wines, obviously. But I loved the farmer mentality and the sort of humble nature of being in a wine region that nobody knows about.
Well, that's not enough.
Sorry, that not enough people know about. You know?
Yeah. And I love Central Coast.
It was a community that I was worried that people would think I was a clown. Just another celebrity that wanted to slap her name on a bottle and hire Michelle Roland and make a $200 bottle of wine and call it a day. But I really I rolled up my sleeves and went out to all of the wineries and introduced myself and did barrel tastings and learned about clones, and literally every single person there threw their doors wide open for me with no judgment, maybe preconceived notions, which were quickly thrown away. And Chad Melville was a huge mentor for me, and he's just an absolute mensch. And just everyone was just it's just hardworking people. Mm-hmm. And that's how we are. We're carnies. We're hardworking people. And I just felt really welcomed. And I actually found the property online while I was in tour in Australia. So I knew nothing about the vines, nothing about the grapes. I didn't know anything anyway. It wouldn't have mattered. I would have believed whoever told me. And it turns out that there are no accidents, and I'm now the custodian of one of the most magical pieces of land in the world, I think. And I'm just every year just completely gobsmacked by what we've been able to do. And yeah, I just rolled up my sleeves and started becoming a garagiste.
Oh, yes.
I refrigerated my garage, and I made, I think, a macro bin of wine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How did the first one turn out?
It was a good learning experience.
Of course.
But now we're 10 years later. How does that turn out?
I'm really proud of our wines.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm really, really, I'm in awe of that land. And first job was teach me every process every month. I want to start with pruning. Let's start in January. And the vineyard manager at one point was like, it's been a really long time since I've been on my hands and knees with a set of shears. Thank you. And I was like, thank you. Because, your knees look worn out. And just started learning how to be there and what I could latch onto. And the frustrating part for me is because I want everything. I want it now. Put it in the microwave, pop it out, give it to me right now. I want it now. Give me the popcorn.
See, she's an 8. I'm an 8.
Yeah.
I'm getting this.
But the process of growing vines and learning vines is a lifetime. It's lifetimes, right? It's these lucky French, Italian people that have been doing it for so long. We get to make so many decisions a year. So you can only learn so much. And so it really is a lifetime pursuit.
Yeah.
And that also teaches you lessons. Mm-hmm. It's to slow down and when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Mm-hmm. So it's been interesting. It's been cool.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you're in the Central Coast. Nothing against Napa, but that's a lot of people go there first, and the fruit in that area and the climate and also the people just make to me that I love going to drink wine.
I love it. I love so
Santa Barbara.
much, and it's also per capita of any wine region. We have the most female winemakers.
Yes,
in the entire world.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and my team is 5 women. Started out with me and Alison, and now we're a team of 5. And it's just it's a wonderful place, and the wines are stellar, really stellar.
We've had the Semillon in
yes.
I wasn't even talking about my wine.
No, I was talking about
wines of the Central Coast.
But yes, they are stellar.
Great
the wines in the
wines.
area is like so many different places and so many hidden gems. And like
hidden
you say,
gems.
it's like family. When I go there, I go there once or twice a year now. Just
now you got to come to ours.
Yes,
I go every March.
Yeah. Okay,
and
I'll be there.
I just love going.
World of Pinot.
World of Pinot, but I also go
I've been there also.
I also go for there's a women's symposium for women like sommeliers around the country, and they apply, and I'm a mentor.
I almost went to that because my friend that works, Genevieve, that worked at Cabo. Yeah, she was there.
So I help mentor that group every year.
Oh,
so
cool.
We're always there.
Yes, you almost came to my house then. I was trying to arrange a lunch for you guys.
It was a lot of fun.
That would be incredible. Yeah.
So you've been working with people who I admire, not only in wine, but personally, Steve and Jill Mathiasen.
Yeah, we both do. Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
They're incredible.
Who are pioneers of organic and sustainable winemaking. Mm-hmm. And how has working with them changed your farming practices?
Oh, gosh. Well, we have a great origin story. Can I tell you how I met them?
Oh, please. Yeah.
So it's height of COVID. We went through a pretty tough run with COVID very early on, March of 2020. So I'm not seeing anybody.
Yeah.
So anywhere we're going in the camper and we're going camping. And I'm driving up to Lake Shasta with my husband and my kids. And I've been following Steve Mathiasen for a while because he's so cool, and didn't know Jill yet, and was listening to him on a podcast. And I was like, wait a minute. This guy likes skateboarding, he likes punk rock music, and he makes wine. and he kind of has this really cool stutter. I like this guy. And I basically slid into his DMs because I knew he followed us at Two Wolves, which was like one of the best days of my life.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, man, I'm going camping with my husband and my kids, and we're going up to Lake Shasta. Or no, I didn't tell him that. I said, hey, man, this is going to sound aggressive, but can we be best friends? And he wrote back, he's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm following your project. That sounds great. Where in the world are you? I said, I'm actually driving up to Lake Shasta. We're going camping. He's like, well, just pull your rig through our vineyard on the way home, and you can stay the night in the vineyard, and my wife, Jill, and I, and my kids will cook for you, and we can stay outside.
Awesome. Wow.
And I was like, Carrie, he's like, who are you? You haven't seen your own family. I was like, yeah, but I like this guy. And so we did. We pulled our rig into his vineyard, and we slept in his vineyard and became best friends, like I planned. And then I fell absolutely head over heels in love with Jill, because Jill has taught me how to let my metaphorical hair down, because I don't have any, at concerts. Oh. The way she loses herself at a show is who I want to be. And Steve, long story short, with his farming practices, anyway, we became friends, and he was kind of slowing down as a vineyard consultant. And I was like, so was my manager when I met him. And I said, yeah, but you don't know much about the Central Coast soil.
New challenge right here.
He was like, oh, I'll come down and take a walk with you. I was like, great. And now he's been our consultant for 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. And they are just two of the most incredible humans. How it's changed our farming is it will be limitless, because the thing about Steve is he's so humble, but he's also such a master. I mean, he knows, and he's also a storyteller. He never sort of condescends or mansplains, or it's not even that thing. Like he wants everyone to win, including especially the plant. And you can walk and talk with that man for hours, and nothing ever goes over your head. He meets you at your level. He tells you why, what it means. Why would you bother? Why would you not bother? And it's not like it's not his way or the highway. It's just that it works. And we've battled mealybugs together at this point. We talk about tunneling, and we've changed our leafing protocol completely, which had to be changed anyway for climate change. And I every time I'm with him, I learn so much, and I learn to think, and I learn that it's okay to slow down the vineyard crew and to empower them to make outside of the box decisions when they don't feel empowered to do so. And everybody wins. You know, we have a vineyard management crew, because I'm not there all year round. And I mean, Alison also is a plant scientist. She's an absolute brilliant person. And her and Steve, I can do about 45 minutes when those two start talking, and then I just kind of back up slowly and go get beer. But it's a really fun relationship to have. And everyone on our crew wins when he visits. And Alison finally feels like she has support of someone that understands what the hell she's talking about.
That's great, yeah. That matters. That matters. It totally does. It totally does.
It really does.
Yeah. So, for 25 years, you have been breaking barriers with your unapologetic authenticity.
I really don't like compliments.
But my question
I respond
is,
better to criticism.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay.
But my question is, like, how does that show up in your winemaking, in your vineyard work, in your, how does it translate?
Wow, that's a really good question. I am a person that starts with what I don't want. And what I didn't want to do, I kind of touched on earlier, was slap my name on a bottle. And I had the privilege of inheriting an already certified organic vineyard. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to learn it piece by piece, block by block by block. And I wanted to not tell anyone. I wanted time to just be a beginner and to make mistakes and to not be judged, because I get so tired of judgment. It weighed, like, I have such thick skin, but the thickest skin is just covering up the mushiest center, right? I'm just so sensitive, really, truly. And I don't know why that makes me want to cry right now, maybe because of the way the world is, but I don't know how to not be authentic, because I come at things, I'm only going to do things I'm really, really curious and passionate about, and or the things that need to be done, whether I want to do them or not. And I just loved rolling up my sleeves and making all the mistakes. And then as I learned block by block by block, I thought, wow, I've kind of really fallen in love with this Petit Verdot. Where can we get some single varietal Petit Verdot? And then we're like, no, you can't find it really. It's hard to find. And I was like, maybe we'll call it Witch's Brew. And then we had this Cab Franc it's my heart. Cab Franc is my heart. Those vines are so difficult and ethereal and beautiful. And they know who they are. And I just started learning it piece by piece by piece. And Chad told me in the very beginning, he said, you don't get to pass off a single job here until you can teach it to someone else. Wow. And I thought that was really good advice.
Good for him, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And now I've forgotten more than I knew. But I do pass off the press cleaning, though. My husband is an incredible janitor. He's meticulous.
It's a good job to pass off.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's a dirty job.
I've done it. I've done it.
Like a drowned cat. I'm like, why is everyone else dry?
That's fantastic.
But, yeah, so I just really wanted to. I also had a deep need to be accepted by the wine community, and I don't know why that is. I'm not a person that needs to be accepted ever. It's kind of been like I've been anti that.
Yeah.
But with wine, I really wanted to be given a fair shake.
Well,
and I wanted to do it. I wanted to do the work so that I could be given a fair shake.
I read you talking about this, and it actually leads into my next question. You're just carrying us right along. That's so relatable. I mean, who would look at you and think that you feel like you need to hide because you don't, want the judgment and stuff?
People are so mean.
Well,
and also I don't blame them. Like, I'm mean too sometimes, and celebrity wine sucks. Like, it mostly sucks.
They mostly do.
It mostly sucks, and the whole idea of it sucks. It's just a money grab.
Mm-hmm.
And if you come into it not knowing enough, you can really damage the legacy of some hardworking people and some hardworking practices.
Mm-hmm.
Like, saying organic wine is gross or dirty is a real disservice to the people that are losing a lot of money breaking their backs trying to organic farm for this earth so that we have an earth to live on.
Yeah.
It's a real disservice to the people that aren't well known and don't have huge audiences. It's an interesting thing. And I totally forget what your question was.
Well, my question is so what's your advice? How did you find the courage finally? Because at some point you decided, I'm coming out. I'm going to, How did you?
I like to be uncomfortable, and I made some really great friends.
Okay.
I made some really good, supportive friends. We started a tasting group with Matt Dees from Hanada and Chad and Alison, and who else would come? Some people from on our vineyard management crew would come, and different people would sit in. We'd have visitors, chefs that I knew, and we would have like really deep conversations. And I just had a great community, and they knew that I was really humble about it. And I was never going to release wine. I was just doing it because I loved it, and I wanted to live there with my kids. And I loved the community, and I made the best friends you could ever meet at 35, which you don't think you're going to do. I never wanted to release the wine. She made me. Alison made me put the wine out. She made me. Yeah. I wasn't going to do it. We ran out of room. She's like, what are you going to do with all this? I was like, donate it to school functions.
For the parents.
For everyone.
So then what would your advice be to other women, other, audience people listening that, like, if they want to get out of themselves into a journey, but they're afraid to...
I think it's hard to give women advice when it comes to wine, because unfortunately as a woman, when you show up in a winery, you have to act like you know everything. You have to be the baddest person in the room. You have to be better than everybody, and you have to work twice as hard, and you can't really show vulnerability because it will usually be used against you. So that's hard to give advice in that way. But I would say if you're thinking about taking a chance on something, there's nothing wrong with being a beginner. And the more questions you ask, the more people are going to offer help and advice. And you're going to get good advice, bad advice, and you're going to fail. I mean, a year into moving here, I pulled over on the side of the road. We were on a motorcycle ride, and I pulled over and I just started sobbing. And of course, it took my husband 30 minutes to figure out I wasn't behind him. So it took him a while to get back. It was a long cry. And he came back, he's like, what's wrong? I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. No one's ever going to take me seriously. I don't know anybody. Like, what are we doing? I should be on a beach with like a bar hut. What am I doing? He was like, I promise you, in another year, you're going to look back on this and laugh. And that's how Carrie and I are. We take chances. And I just think it's so rewarding to... I met a girl yesterday in Nordstrom's, the girl that worked there. Her name was Cynthia. She was so sweet. She was like, I'm from Boston, but now I'm in LA, and I just really want to move home, but I don't want to kind of eat that by saying I failed. I feel like I failed out here, and it's really hard to meet people. And I was like, honey, you are so young. You are 32 years old. Go home. Go home. No one's going to care. They're just going to welcome you back. Take the chance in admitting that you tried something. And then you can be super annoying and go home and just talk about LA all the time.
True.
Because you did it.
Yes.
You took the chance. It doesn't have to work out. You just have to take the chance. So I guess that's my advice. Like, whether it works or not, whether you fail or stumble or fall or become hugely successful, it's the experience that you got. And there's lessons in experience, and there's memories that you don't even know that you're making in doing that, and failures that you're going to learn from. And I will continue to make them all over the place. I'm a parent. I make them every day. And sometimes I have to laugh at all of us, even when they're not laughing.
So single variety for wines, what made you do that? Because a lot of people, for a lot of American palates that I deal with a lot of consumers. A lot of time. I work 5 years at a boutique wine store. I love it. But people love blends. Mm-hmm. Blending.
They think they do.
They think they do. That's the first thing. I like a blend. And I'm like, well, what about it do you like? And when I start going into the grapes and trying to explain to them, well, I like this. I always say people talk dry, but they drink sweet.
Uh-huh. Especially in America.
Yeah. That's one of the things. I like dry, but then when you see what...
But that's also their way of sort of being intimidated and not really knowing what else to say.
Here's what I always approach people with, and I approach with food, especially working retail. Mm-hmm. You know, I watch what they come in with. We were near a college campus, right? We were in between Chipotle and a Potbelly and a local restaurant, and I would see like, oh, is that a burrito bowl? Or is that an actual burrito? Oh, I have this. Oh, I have a perfect wine for you.
Perfect. That's so great. Because if that's the meal they love, they're going to go back to that wine.
And we will always go and get all the new food that all the menu changes and pair a wine with it. And that will be our tasting notes. That will be our shelf talker.
How fun is that?
She's so good at that.
How fun is that?
Because that's the way you approach people. I mean, and I think because my family doesn't drink, but I've been drinking really well since I was 26. Mm-hmm. I will be 52 next month. And
happy birthday.
Thank you. And for me, wine goes with food.
Yes.
It always goes with food, but I like snacks.
And don't read my tasting notes.
No.
Don't
I know.
I love your tasting notes. I love them.
No, but that's why.
Awesome.
Because
they're awesome.
The reason why I like your tasting notes is because it's not about... I love a great meal too, right?
Pair with lingerie and hand sanitizer. Eat later.
Because sometimes that's how it goes.
Or Cab Franc, just go off and just drink it by yourself.
But it's kind of like when
I love that approach too, because that makes it totally approachable.
It's like caviar
and fun. It's
like
a game.
I like caviar, but I can put caviar on Doritos.
Oh yeah,
and that's how I love it.
Absolutely, or Ruffles.
No, that's a Blanc de Noir champagne because Ruffles has less salt than Lay's. So if I'm doing Lay's, I'm a Blanc de Blanc. Oh, I got this one down.
She does the snack thing.
I do the snack thing.
Solid.
Can we actually just hang out?
All the time.
Okay.
That's my favorite pairing.
You can yell at me. You can yell at me on the street of DC if you let me come in.
Yeah. Cheeses.
Oh, what about Triscuits? What are we doing with Triscuits?
Okay.
Or string cheese.
Okay. What kind of string cheese? Sharp cheddar or regular cheddar?
Regular. Like the light kind.
The light kind.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm going to go with your Semillon.
Okay.
With a string cheese.
All right.
And I got a great topper for it, though.
I think that works.
Calabrian chili.
Mm.
The Calabrian chili.
Oh, I'm in.
The oil, just...
No, the one with the peppers in it, like a little spice.
Yeah.
I like that Momofuku chili crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a chili crisp.
Too much?
No, chili crisps, yes.
I need to go home. Bye. It's in my closet at home.
Thanks for listening to Just Getting Better with your hosts, Michelle Williams
and Julia Coney.
We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into some important topics impacting women today. To ensure you never miss an episode, click follow or subscribe.
Head over to isjustgettingbetter.com to sign up for our email list, as well as check out all the links and resources in the show notes. And be sure to follow us on social media. If you love the show, will you please help us build our community by sharing it with friends? Until next time,
keep just getting better.
So single varietal blends, a lot of people, I think blends are really, I call it a gateway to a lot of people on their wine journey. That's the way they come through it. And then later on, they kind of go into single varietal. But you came out with a single varietal wine from beginning.
But that was because this entire project has been a learning experience for my benefit. Learning block by block, learning the vineyard, learning each varietal and what it does on its own, who it is. I wanted to learn all my kids before I put them in a room to play together. And I think that blends teach you about regions, but I don't think they teach you about grapes. That's what I think. And so
put that on
I learned Petit Verdot. I learned Cab Franc. I learned the 4 or 5 different blocks of Cab Sauv, and the clones are all different. So you've got your Seas Candies clone, and you've got this clone, and you've got block 3, which is really green, and then you've got block 1, which is no longer there, because we're turning into Vermentino. Block 1 was like the licoricey weird cousin that goes...
we just had a Vermentino
and then
moment.
we learned the Semillon, and then we learned the Sauv Blanc, and the different hillsides of Sauv Blanc, and then... everything has been an experiment. So as I was learning these grapes, we played around with blends. I mean, we made, 9 barrels? Everyone, this is Alison Thomson. She's my partner in life and wine. In crime and wine.
In crime and wine, yeah.
Alison!
Alison
She's my partner in crime, too.
She's so amazing. The night I met her, Chad invited us both to a dinner party so I could kind of secret interview her, and she didn't realize it was an interview. And she just thought I was the most curious person in the entire world. And here, move over.
Yeah.
And what I found out about Alison was that she's a total badass. She is a plant scientist. She went to UCSB and then did grad school at Davis and plant science and viticulture and enology.
Yep.
And worked her first harvest. She picked up her bags and went to Italy and slept in I forget. At their house.
Yeah.
Germano.
Yeah. Sergio Germano and Germano Ettore in Serra Lunga
And
di
just
Alba.
moved into his attic and did harvest, her first harvest. I was like, that's so brave and amazing. And you didn't know the language, and it's, sort of, right?
I didn't know winery Italian yet.
Yeah. And then worked at Palmina, and then came back and worked at Senequinon, and had done all this really cool stuff, and also happens to be the nicest person in the world and the most hardworking person I've ever met. People like to say that I'm hardworking. This woman doesn't stop. She also raises 2 beautiful children, has a partner that's lovely, and goes and buys me maxi pads when I need them. I really appreciate that, man. Right before a wine event. He didn't even blink in the lobby of a hotel. He's like, anybody need anything? I was like, can you get me some super maxi pads? Any just organic? He's like, yeah, be right back. I was like, I love him so much. Anyway, and then we just started making wine together. And this was the learning experience. I said, Alison, I know enough to be dangerous. I like that about me. You know everything. Be patient. But I really want to... There is no plan. There is no program. There are no rules. She's like, well... I was like, no. Don't start talking to me about math and yields. I'm not ready. And we just learned it block by block. And we found that each varietal did not really play well with others and didn't want to be masked, didn't want to share the screen, just really wanted to be on its own and could really stand alone in a bottle and speak for itself. And it also helped me really understand the different soils through the soil testing and what that tastes like. And also our vineyard, I've told you it's magical, but we're in a warm climate, possibly hot climate right next to Happy Canyon. But we make almost cool climate wines. There's an elegance and a balance, even if our pHs are all over the place, even if there's heat spikes. There's a balance to it that is, it's curious, and it's lovely, and they speak for themselves, and I just think it's way more fun. Like, I didn't know we even had Graciano. I thought it was Mourvedre. Everyone in the Central Coast thought we had Mourvedre. And then some guy, Justin, was like fermenting the Mourvedre that everyone had for their GSM program, and was like, well, it doesn't talk like Mourvedre, it doesn't smell like Mourvedre, it doesn't ferment like Mourvedre, it doesn't grow, it doesn't even look like Mourvedre. So he sent it in, and it's Graciano. Everyone had Graciano because they screwed up, the nursery screwed up the translation between Monastrell, and Monastrell, right? Monastrell,
Monastrell. I don't know.
And so no one had Mourvedre. And so I was giggling because I didn't have a program. Everyone else was like, who was getting sued? Because this is like consumer stuff. And I just was like, I just think it's really funny. I was like, have you had Graciano?
I was like, what the fuck is Graciano?
And we were like, great, let's do 100% whole cluster, and then carbonic.
And destemmed. And we did them all three. And
I don't remember the destemmed.
yeah, it was not memorable.
Yeah. And the whole cluster was like,
it was like
almost
so
made
tannic.
you blind.
Wow.
But the carbonic was like surprisingly magical, and
I love carbonic wines.
I do
Yeah.
too. I do too.
Well, the Graciano is a savory beast, right? Mm-hmm. So it can be a mammer jammer, but doing it carbonic brings out like, it's almost like biting into a crunchy berry or like a pop rock, like a cherry pop rock, and it's beautiful, and you drink it chilled, and it's such a fun wine, and
It's crushable.
Food.
100
You want to talk about food?
Yeah.
Especially
Oh my
heat
gosh,
in
it's a
Texas
fun
in the
food
summertime.
wine.
Yeah.
and the
Burrito taco
Barbecue.
wine.
You can talk
Tacos.
with anything.
Yeah.
It's like cranberries or cherries or pomegranates or steak. Like, it doesn't, I don't eat steak, but it doesn't even matter. It's wild. It's a wild wine. And I just think it's really fun to talk about with people, because we have the benefit of having a lot of first-time wine drinkers that follow me because of music. And so they get to come along on this journey with us, and they don't know anything, and they like being taught in a way that's approachable, that's fun, that's humble, that's new, that's excited, and tell the story. Everybody loves a story. It's so empowering to someone when you can give them a bottle of wine, tell them the story, and let them be the person at the dinner party to have something cool to say.
Absolutely.
It's really empowering to tell a story. And yeah, so that's why single varietal. And we do have a blend.
I mean, we, like the Semillon, for example, what we're drinking right now, this was kind of intended to be a blender in the Sauvignon Blanc, I think, when it was planted. Mm-hmm. And then we, again, did a bunch of experiments with it, and I had never worked with Semillon before, and part of what drew me to the project was Alicia's open mind about where we were going to go with this, which was, like, limitless. And prior to this, I'd worked at wineries that already had the wines they were making, and had the style, had everything laid out. And it was really just like following a recipe in a way. But this was just such a creative pursuit. And the Semillon was part of that, where, we talked to people, like, how do you make Semillon, like, different approaches. And some people said, whatever you do, no skin contact. So, of course, Alicia was like,
what we did.
Exactly.
Try that.
Yeah, you tell me not to do it, I'm going to do it.
Like,
Yeah, and I had made, Italian, there's a tradition of skin contact whites, and we were kind of interested in that. So we made a few barrels of skin contact. We made some direct press.
we did a stainless steel to be safe.
Yeah, we did,
Just to see. But just to see. What's the difference?
And
Open top punch-ins, hand push-downs, which is so fun.
yeah.
And the full skin contact, we were like, I think I just made the funkiest Riesling. in the Central Coast. And then the stainless steel, I was like, that is so boring. It's so boring. Where's the texture? And then we put them together, and I was like,
yeah. It was like a aha moment.
That was the magic.
Because it's still really elegant and really serious and beautiful, but it's also funky and phenolic and textural, and it's, again, it's the closest thing to Riesling. It's got those petrol notes and honeycomb, and it's kind of waxy, but in a good way, and it's weird. Like, you can give it to somebody around a campfire at night, and they think they're drinking red wine. That's chill.
It's a red. It's
Yeah.
It's a red.
But
It's a white wine for red wine when drinking.
Yeah, but it's not an orange wine.
The
We
texture
keep it
is
on
so
skins
great.
For 31 days.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's just meant to be this, and so why put something else with it?
Yeah.
And that's like how we went about each and every lot was we did these little experiments and we got to know each wine. And when you do that, it's hard to put them together. You get to know their personality, and they're so
It's
different.
like we call it demoitis in music. When you make a demo, you listen to it so many times you get stuck. That's why on my records you'll hear like my drunk guitar player in the back singing the wrong words because we just wrote it, or just like my kid farting in the back, or like In Trouble, the one song I won a Grammy for. The bus we did it on the tour bus, and Travis Barker was playing drums, and the bus stopped and the drums fell over, and then the bus makes that sound, and everyone just thought that was a cool drum beat. That's just the bus shutting off. But that's demoitis, and so all these wines are basically liquid demoitis.
Wow, I love it. I love it. So, I know that both of you are very passionate also about farming, agriculture, organic. When you bought the winery, the acres that were already there, I think 18 were already organic. And if I'm not, like, you live there with your family. So, in my other day job, you have two day jobs. I'm not sure which one is your day job. I'm not sure which one is mine either.
Well, this is my night job.
This is your night job. Okay.
I'm a lady of the night.
A lady of the evening. You're like Elvira.
Pretty much dressed like it.
I write a lot about sustainability, organic biodynamic, regenerative, soil microbiomes, which I can totally geek out on. Yes.
This is your person.
Yeah. So what does that mean to both of you to have, and you too, because you live there with your family.
Yeah.
So what is the importance of that for you?
Well, I knew I was going to raise my kids there and live there. We live there full time, and all the wine is estate, so it's all grown there. And, it's important that we're not around pesticides and poison. And you hear horror stories of a vineyard worker that got cut with the pesticides in his leg, and now he's an amputee. Like, real stories. And I read Steiner, and it's actually way more ingestible than I thought it would be. Because, the smartest person in the world. It's heady, but it's totally understandable. And her heart is in regenerative farming. I'm all about dipping my toe and learning and continuing on the path towards the right direction. And learning. It's just more rabbit holes to go down, and it's important. And we've done you want to talk about a lot of the stuff that we've done at the vineyard?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we started out with a good base of organic farming, but that really just talks about what you're spraying and what you're not spraying, right? And I think at UCSB, I studied ecology, and so my thinking is about systems and ecological systems, and how do we make this the healthiest system in our vineyard, but then also, like, how can it be a positive, affect the surrounding area positively rather than negatively? And then, on a bigger picture, agriculture and sustainability and climate change, like, agriculture is a huge contributor to climate change. And so I think as we progressively get deeper and deeper into organic farming, it also is the little things like, making sure that we're planting cover crops that support beneficial insects, and planting native plants that also can bring in the beneficial. So again, we're not spraying as much, so we can rely and support our environment, and then, you know, using owl boxes and bluebird boxes, and to help bring in, you know, more, you know, birds and things like that. Also the tilling and supporting the soil. That's a huge thing that we've been working on, is making sure that our soil, because that's where it all starts, is healthy, and that, you know, we have good drainage and good nutrients, and a lot of that is the cover cropping and how we use that. And so it's those little decisions that we make that can over time add up to really a much healthier vineyard system, and hopefully surrounding environment. We are in like a little island. We're not in a place where there's vineyards butted up against each other. We're in a really natural area, and it has some of the highest like bird densities in the county because it's really beautiful.
And they also think I'm Dr. Doolittle.
Yeah.
And then I won't hurt them. I won't. And they all just come.
They come. They want to eat all this beautiful fruit. And so, I mean, it's really important, I think, as land stewards to really keep moving in the direction of care and thinking about the bigger picture and globally.
And it is expensive to farm that way, and that's a huge barrier that somehow has to be turned on its head. It shouldn't be shouldn't be more expensive to be healthier. Mm-hmm. And also, I think it even moves past that into opportunity. And, you know, our team is all women, right? And half of us are gay. And then I'm also inspired by Mathiasen and how he runs his programs and his outreach into communities and his whole ethos. Like just from planting a citrus tree in the middle of the vineyard for a worker that might want a snack, just might want a peach while he's working because he's hungry. Just the whole idea of generosity and opportunity, and it's endless. It's endless, and it's necessary. It's so important.
It's bigger than one person. It's like you say, the ecosystem. So when you think about the land and then the ecosystem of the people and the workers, and it's kind of, you know, when you work in our business, you know, you meet a lot of wine people. You do. You get a lot of wines. And I always tell people, I don't drink wine from assholes. There's too much great wine out there. Like,
separate the art from the artist.
I just do, right?
So
because
true.
there's so many things, like, and I want to have a good glass of wine, and I want to enjoy that, and I want to. When you tell me like sustainability, I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? Because it can mean a lot of things to different people.
I heard a winemaker once say, "We're sustainable. I pay my mortgage."
Oh God.
I was like, wow, you're an asshole.
Yeah. Well, and organic isn't necessarily sustainable, so that you have to go beyond. You know, you have to ask
and
questions.
it's hard for the consumers. And I'm always telling them, I said, also too, you want your wine to taste like it has a life,
Yes,
a life force, an energy. What is calling you?
The most important thing.
Because sometimes you taste something, and I also, you know, I call, you know, you go on vacation. I call it vacation wine. Some people go and they visit a winery and they come back and they're like, it doesn't taste the same where you're not on vacation. That's a different wine, but letting them know, like, sometimes you have to do more research. Like, I'm always shocked when people
just try new things.
Try new things, right?
Don't go to that same bottle, Mom.
Yeah.
I went to Chateauneuf du Pape once and I sent my mom a bottle of wine. And she called me and she said, it tastes just like the stuff I get at the grocery store. I was like, cork it and send it back. You ungrateful woman.
No, it does not. But I love that about like how you see, and you know, is you can taste it. Like I can taste wine all the time. I'm like, this
Tastes like Home Depot.
I'm like,
you know, vanilla, like bland, like there's no life there.
No, there's no life.
There's
taste
no
it,
life there.
and you know, and even sometimes my husband, he'll
like
taste
shiny,
something, you
sharp
know, he's
edges,
like
It's just the energy.
he doesn't even work in wine. He'll taste something and go like, yeah, that's not it. And if you know that, right, immediately, like, you know, like there's something different.
Yeah. You work with 5 women, all women winemaking team.
Yep.
What did women mentorship coming into the business mean to you? And then how are you paying that forward, which it seems like you're doing quite well.
I wanted to work with a female winemaker that had children. Because I know how hard it is to, no offense to women that don't have children, I'm not J.D. Vance. But
I don't have a cat, but I don't have kids, but I get it. Yeah.
But I might have a cat if it was an outside cat. I have 2 children. It's hard. It's hard to be a woman and get opportunity in the wine business at all, especially in winemaking. Statistically, we've talked about UC Davis, 50% women in the class, 14% become winemakers. One of the first comments that was ever made to her in a cellar was, "But you can't pick up a barrel." And then you get a woman with children, and that's an unhireable. That's untouchable. Well, or a woman of baby making age, untouchable. She's gonna get a baby. She won't be here all the time. I won't be able to just use and abuse this person. So for me, it was important to work with women, and just I have opportunities to give. I've been given opportunities, pay it forward, and also women are rad. We're thoughtful, we're badass, we're stronger than anybody thinks. We're stronger than we think. And we're the hardest workers. And we make beautiful wines. And it's a really fun team. You know? I want to be able to come into the winery and bitch about my partner. And then have everyone in the room do the same. Like, we need that space.
Yes.
And it's also, it feels gathering. Like, when we gather for Friday lunches, it's sisterhood. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's such an incredible team of women that all have their own stories, that all have worked their butts off. And we've all worked our butts off, myself included, and continue to. And it's because we're passionate. And every once in a while, Janae, who's in charge of like DTC and kind of marketing, we're not really sure what anyone's job is exactly, but everyone does everything. But she kind of halts on the really mean emails that we get just to see if I'm going to take that one, because I'm really good at those. But she's been changing my password a lot lately.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And for me, like, I didn't have women mentors.
Yeah.
I didn't have women. There were no women really around me. I had all men who are wonderful.
Men are wonderful. There's nothing against men.
Yeah.
I love men. I know brilliant men.
And
just wanted to work with women.
Yeah. And so this was the first project that I had ever worked with a woman and had a woman boss. I'd never had a woman that was the owner or like in charge. And immediately when...
Makes me feel like I'm watching Minions when you say boss.
We don't really, I guess I've heard it. Big boss. Big boss.
She's my big boss. Big boss.
We'll just call you Gru. Was that,
But as soon as we started working together, it felt like home. And it was just like an immediate, like, oh, this is right.
Until I said only native ferment, and you're like, I don't think this is going to work out. She's like, it's been 13 days. I'm like, walk away.
You don't get that, but that's hilarious.
It's not science. It doesn't add up. We have one macro bin. I was like, mad at you.
We worked through it. We had a lot of talking. We did some therapy.
I went into the winery like year 1, year 2, and was doing nighttime work and punch downs and all the things and taking numbers during harvest. And I call her hysterically crying. Like, she's my boss, which she is, really. And I was like, I screwed up. I'm so sorry. She's like, what happened? And I was like, I have Jamin, or no, it was Willow at the time.
No, it was Carrie, wasn't it?
Well, that was the second time.
Yeah.
Willow was climbing on the barrel and the bung came out and it looks like a murder scene. There's wine everywhere.
I was like, did you put the bung back in? Yeah. I'm like, I'm sure it's...
I'm like, I think it's at least a gallon.
Oh, God.
We only had 20. She's like, it's going to be okay. I was like, you're so nice. I was like, I'm going to go get the soda ash.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It was funny. And then the next time was Carrie's cargo short. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
You're that guy.
But we
get through it.
We get through it. It's a different dynamic. Mm-hmm. And, I think also bringing younger women into the team and just having them mentoring. Our cellar master just had a baby, and it's been great to keep her in the industry as a new mom and like make it work. We don't have to be there 24 hours a day. And we don't have to do it like
by anybody's book.
Yeah, and we can do it in a way that we make beautiful wines but we also can live our lives and take care of our children, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just a different approach, and we just have to work smarter and be more thoughtful about it and be more efficient, which we are.
That's why we have 2 pumps now.
Yeah, exactly.
What was
wonderful?
Our podcast is called Just Getting Better, right? So, and we came to the idea, of course, with the talented Jasmine that's in the room, because we were in our 50s, and and so many things are like, I honestly, like, I haven't reached the point where I wake up and I don't think, I'm in my mind, I wake up and my mind is like 32.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I wake up, my body, like, I wake up and I'm out of bed.
17-year-old
right?
boy.
Like, I wake up and I sing song lyrics. I mean, hold the remote like I did as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, every day in life is like.
Cheerios for dinner.
Always.
Oh, I love breakfast for dinner.
Breakfast for
like
dinner.
cereal breakfast. Yes. Cereal breakfast. Oh, yeah.
But I'm always thinking, like, and we're just, how are we getting better? So, Alecia and Alison, how are you guys just getting better?
Such a great question.
It could be one thing, it doesn't be multitude.
To love myself in all of my stages.
Oh.
I'm learning that some things we don't have to evolve out of. I'm learning that anger is not dangerous or bad. It's not strictly female. It is to be expressed in a healthy way, but always to be expressed. I'm learning that I have no long game when it comes to parenting, but I'm having a great time. And my kids are happy, and I'm trying to be a better partner and a better human in the world and a better, just constantly seeking. And also being more open to inherent biases that I didn't know I had. And owning all of it, my darkness and my light, and just being better and being more humble about it, and trying not to be what I see in the world, which is judgment and hate. Not judgment in that, you know, I'm okay with judgment, but just this vitriol. And I have been a fighter all my life, but I have to fight smarter and fight in a way that is inspiring as opposed to shutting down. That's a lesson. That's a hard one for me. But also with this venture, it's you put love into a vineyard and it gives it right back to you. And you put love into what you do, and you feel it. You feel self-esteem and accomplishment, and the vines are getting older. For some, that's a good thing. For the rest, we might need to lay down for a while and become new again. What about you?
Gosh, I have to go after that. I think for me, you know, it's if we're both 45, exactly the same age, born the same month, and I've learned so much here and with Alecia and at the winery, and I think just being more accepting of who I am and not apologizing for it, and also accepting of others, you know, like just trying to believe that most of us are doing our best. And, you know, if maybe people aren't meeting your expectations, maybe it's not because they're a shitty person or not trying or whatever, but
I'm currently working on that.
But, like, you know, giving people the benefit of the doubt and having a little bit more faith in humanity, maybe a little bit. And I think, yeah, just not apologizing as much.
Yeah, that's good.
I was just like, yes.
You could have gone harder.
Yeah. But in a nice way.
I know.
You can be nice
She's
about
always
it.
nice.
Yeah.
What's Alison's Enneagram number?
I don't know. I've never done
Enneagram
it.
type.
I've never
No?
done it.
Okay.
I bet she's a 2.
I was thinking that. That's exactly what I was thinking.
She's just kind. This guy fully came in and just took out our gate and then acted like he didn't do it, and she was just like, "It's okay." I was like, "Is it?"
I was like, can I have your insurance, please? We are going to be contacting them. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. That's great.
But Alison do remind me of the kind of person who's like they're like that, and they actually are very scary because they.
Oh, I know.
Those
I know.
are, you know what I mean? Yeah, like you because you're the one that's like seems real calm, and then that's the like scary part of it is just like
When you break,
when the wrath happens.
Oh, but
that would be a 9.
You get
She
her,
was that.
You get her a little tipsy, and it's on. It is on. You fell face flat at a wine dinner. That was my favorite thing. And then you lost your earrings in my lake at a Thanksgiving photo shoot.
It was not at the wine dinner. It was after the wine dinner, and it was totally not my fault. It was the
At
chair's
Petite
fault.
Creme.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Those were faulty chairs.
Oh my
Those were faulty
gosh.
chairs.
Yeah.
It was the chair.
Yeah.
I know how to have fun.
Yeah, you're more fun than I am.